In a bold move, SpaceX Starlink is taking a stand against Virginia's broadband deployment recommendation, demanding a rethink. The satellite broadband provider is calling for a revision of the state's final proposal for a federally funded project, pushing for the inclusion of its Starlink internet service. But here's where it gets controversial. The Department of Housing and Community Development, responsible for broadband deployment in Virginia, recently published its recommendations for the Broadband Equity, Access, and Deployment (BEAD) Awards Program, with a proposed expenditure of $613 million in federal funding, a figure $200 million less than previously estimated by Governor Glenn Youngkin's office. The stakes are high. Yet SpaceX argues that this allocation is a massive waste of federal taxpayer money, alleging unfair treatment by the state broadband office. According to SpaceX, Virginia has tipped the scales in favor of costly and time-consuming fiber-optic cable projects over faster, more affordable, and technologically unbiased alternatives. The company believes that the Commonwealth's preference for fiber bias is detrimental to fair competition. Designed to bridge the digital divide, the BEAD program aims to provide adequate broadband services to underserved homes, businesses, and community buildings. The federal standard for broadband is set at 100 megabits per second download and 20 megabits per second upload speeds. SpaceX, owned by former President Donald Trump's associate Elon Musk, initially refrained from submitting BEAD funding applications. However, after the Trump administration's Commerce Department relaxed eligibility rules to adopt a technology-neutral stance, SpaceX entered the fray, applying for funding across the United States, including Virginia. In its proposal, the State Housing Department recommended that Starlink serve 5,579 locations, allocating $3.3 million for this purpose. This includes 3,137 locations in Southwest and Southside Virginia, with an award of $1.6 million. Meanwhile, another low Earth orbit satellite provider, Amazon's Project Kuiper, would receive $4.5 million to reach 6,957 locations, including $970,000 for 1,132 locations in Southwest and Southside Virginia. The lion's share of the remaining 133,500 unserved locations would be covered by fiber-optic cables. Interestingly, Kuiper, which submitted applications prior to the Trump administration's rule changes, did not publicly comment on the final proposal. The public comment period closed on Wednesday night, leaving many wondering about the future of this contentious issue. The majority of feedback received by the broadband office came from internet service providers. Some advocated for alternative uses of non-deployment funds, such as expanding cellular service, while others raised concerns about the technical aspects of the recommendations. A few complained about losing business due to the rule changes. 2 citizen-submitted comments stood out, both from residents of far Southwest Virginia, expressing frustration that they would receive Starlink internet instead of fiber-optic cable. Joshua Stanley of Wise County lamented that while his neighbors have access to broadband, he and others would be left with the worst option. He argued that without government support for fiber programs, no company would upgrade the infrastructure in his area to achieve true parity. As the rest of Virginia enjoys future-proof options, he fears being left behind, with the digital divide growing even wider. However, SpaceX refutes this notion, insisting that if Virginia does not amend its proposal, the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, NTIA, under the Commerce Department, should reject it outright. Following the release of the Housing Department's proposal, Governor Glenn Youngkin's office highlighted that upon federal approval, the plan would connect the remaining 133,500 Virginia residences, businesses, and community buildings lacking high-speed internet. Youngkin's office claimed that the revised BEAD application rules under the Trump administration eliminated red tape and resulted in a 25% reduction from the previous cost estimate of $815 million. Despite requests for comment, neither Youngkin's office nor the Department of Housing and Community Development, DHCD, responded by the end of working hours. How do houses and trees affect satellite signals? When considering low Earth orbit satellites, Virginia factored in their potential to support future speeds exceeding the current federal standard. According to Starlink's website, the service offers download speeds ranging from 87 to 243 megabits per second and upload speeds between 13 and 26 megabits per second, with latencies of 25 to 34 milliseconds at various sites in Southwest and Southside Virginia. In contrast, fiber-optic cable providers in the region offer multiple gigabits per second download speeds and approximately 100 megabits per second upload speeds. Two critical factors impacting satellite service performance are project area density and tree canopy. The Housing Department's BEAD proposal acknowledged these variables, evaluating their impact on SpaceX and Kuiper's awards. Terrain ruggedness and slope were also taken into account. Observers have noted that satellite speeds can slow down significantly when numerous users in a densely populated area attempt to access the internet simultaneously. The Broadband Office assessed the number of locations in areas where Starlink applied, ensuring that the existing customer base would not suffer negative consequences from the award of BEAD locations. Regarding tree cover, the report stated that obstructed line-of-sight technologies, specifically wireless and low Earth orbit technologies, may experience signal degradation, increased latency, and reduced reliability. These determinations could challenge the Commerce Department's directive for states to accept the lowest bidder. Satellite bids were notably lower compared to fiber-optic cable providers, whose costs encompass wire installation and associated labor. Conversely, Starlink and Kuiper's infrastructure primarily comprises dishes costing a few $100s each, representing the company's expenses to serve BEAD locations. On June 6th, the Commerce Department announced its revised BEAD policy, canceling all applications and initiating a new round. Virginia's final proposal was due in late October. However, by mid-July, the state broadband office began issuing provisional award notices. SpaceX promptly expressed its dissatisfaction with the Commonwealth's decisions. A series of emails between the company and the Broadband Office reveals SpaceX's concerns. After a Virginia Freedom of Information Act request, the Broadband Office shared these communications with Cardinal News. SpaceX bid $750 for each location, and on July 16th, the company's senior manager for global government affairs questioned the likelihood that all program locations, excluding the 4,841 included in SpaceX's provisional award spreadsheet, received bids below or within 15% of $750 per location. Erica Myers, the manager, requested confirmation that all provisionally awarded locations not listed in SpaceX's spreadsheet were awarded at prices lower than SpaceX's bid of $750. She also sought an explanation for how this decision was reached in accordance with program rules. In response, Chandler Vaughn, Associate Director of the Office of Broadband, explained that under federal law and BEAD regulations, the office considered various factors including foliage, topography, and location density. Applicants were asked to factor these elements into their letters of intent. After reviewing their responses and conducting independent research, the office rejected certain applications, including a portion of SpaceX's applications as a priority broadband project. Vaughn assured that specific criteria and considerations would be disclosed in Virginia's BEAD final proposal when it opened for public comment. SpaceX's lawyer, Shay Boyd, chimed in on July 21st, stating that SpaceX indeed considered foliage, topography, and location density in its bid. He expressed confidence that the office's independent research was neither accurate nor independent. Boyd revealed that approximately 15% of locations excluded from SpaceX's application had a Starlink customer within 100 meters. Roughly 12% of excluded locations were already serviced by Starlink, and around 95% of all BEAD locations in Virginia had a Starlink subscriber within a mile. These facts, he argued, demonstrated the inaccuracy of the research supporting the office's findings regarding SpaceX's technical capabilities. On July 24th, the Office of Broadband team informed SpaceX that the review process was complete and invited further comments during the public comment period. A SpaceX document dated July 26 revealed that the company conducted a tree cover analysis of the Commonwealth, concluding that the Starlink network could serve all areas of Virginia. Another document sent the same day mentioned that SpaceX reviewed a study titled Starlink Capacity Analysis version 0.2, led by a Penn State professor. The study claimed that Starlink's subscriber density limitation was 6.66 households per square mile. SpaceX dismissed the study as demonstrably false and accused it of inviting a misapplication of findings that produced highly inaccurate results. In its public comment email, SpaceX reiterated these arguments, emphasizing the potential of its technology. Among the comments received by the Broadband office, one stood out from Junior Stacy, a Grundy resident who would receive Starlink service under BEAD. Stacy expressed disappointment that Starlink won the awards for his local community, highlighting the area's mountainous and wooded terrain, which poses significant challenges for satellite service. He cited the experience of a neighbor in Buchanan County who had to retire from her telehealth job due to disconnections caused by obstructions in the area.